although I also need to make sure because the final say is on the New York authority. But in general, if you have a 3-year law degree in a common law country, then you will usually satisfy that requirement. But if you don't have that degree, because sometimes they also need to evaluate the kind of subject you study for that degree. So I cannot say for sure for all the common law 3-year LLB degree will satisfy that. But in general, you can. It's possible or very likely. But if you can't, you need to study an LLM in the US, so that they have this cure provision. If say you do an LLM there, you can cure the insufficiency of your LLB degree, and you will be eligible to take the bar exam as well. That's why when I took the bar exam, actually the majority of foreigners there, they did an LLM there. They may be from mainland China or from other civil law countries, but they end up like sitting the exam right after they graduate from the LLM degree. So that is your the criterion you need to look for. If you don't satisfy the initial requirement, you need to do an LLM. But the LLM definitely is not aiming at actually helping you to pass the bar, because the content of the LLM and the content of the bar exam are a little bit different. So you definitely need to study separately. But after your graduation, you usually have like 2 months, I think, or like almost 3 months to study for the bar exam. I think it will be more than enough, because most law graduate, LLM graduate, they do the bar exam right after they graduate as well. They do the preparation, etc. So I think that's like the initial requirement or the eligibility for that. It's not actually 60. It's 60, or I would say like because when you look at the statistic, probably 60 or 70 is like the total population of that bar exam, like bar exam takers. But when you look at just foreigners, I think it's more like 45 to 50 like each year. I think the main reason is that most people who failed the bar exam first time will very likely be people from civil law country. It makes sense because the laws are kind of different. You need to like grab all the concepts from scratch. Because for me, for example, I did my law in Hong Kong and UK. Actually, some concepts are pretty similar. I could say like the New York law or like the US law and the common law in UK. So I actually have some ideas on some concepts, although I still need to kind of study all the specific rules from scratch. But I can at least like kind of get some concept, and I have some initial familiarity. I think that helps a bit. But I don't think it's an absolute barrier anyway, because for me, I study full-time for 3 to 4 months. I do think that if you have the materials, I actually use Barbary to study for my bar exam. And if you have the right material and you have a very rigid timetable, potentially spending 7 to 8 hours a day, just like a full-time job if you study full-time, I think it makes sense. And 3 months to get a qualification in the US, I think it's worth it, to be honest. And although you may not necessarily pass it first time, but some bar course providers, if you enroll into their course, they also give you, not guarantee, but allow you to retake using the course material without incurring extra costs. So I think your initial course is just the first time when you enrolled, and later on, it won't be like too onerous financially speaking. So I do think that, definitely. But you need to consider whether you study full-time or part-time. I think that's the main consideration. Full-time, 3 to 4 months, I think should be enough. Part-time, 8 to 10 months potentially. And it also depends on your timetable, as I mentioned, because everyone has different style of studying. But definitely in general, I mean, if they want to know more details, they could like definitely reach out to me or read a few articles published on Global Lawyers Connect, because they're like, I actually share some more like specific tips. But here, because it would be like too long for me to actually go into the whole study process. But in general, I would say like full-time 3 to 4 months and part-time 8 to 10 months, and use materials maybe Barbary or other course providers you find.